Hey, how's everyone doing? I hope you're ready to get out your paints and have some fun. We're going to do a nice big mountain in this one. And I'm wetting the paper down now. I'm using 140-pound Fabriano. It's 25% cotton, studio paper it's called, Fabriano Studio. And I'm giving it the usual 3 coats of water. And I'm just going over it, making sure it's pretty well saturated. Some of those colors you see coming off are coming off my board, which is fine. I'm taking a little raw sienna now, and I'm just doing just a sort of just a light tint of raw sienna to the back. And now I'm taking just a light ultramarine blue, maybe just a hint of Payne's gray. I don't want a lot of sky in this one. You're barely going to see any sky. So the mountain and trees are going to take up most of the picture. Now the ultramarine blue and either neutral tint or Payne's gray, I put a little on the bottom because I know I'm going to have a little watery stream going by. So just putting a little there, that'll be for later. And just making the blue a little darker because I know this is going to dry back a bit. Colors usually dry back 25 to 50% with watercolor, depending on the colors that you're using. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to just give it a quick dry. I'll edit it and mute it for sound for you. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm using the medium Hake brush here. You don't see me use this that often. But sometimes if you want to get a precise size, you can go to a smaller size brush. No shame in that. It's still a Hake brush. And I'm using some burnt umber, some ultramarine blue, a little bit of Payne's gray. I want the right side of the mountain a little darker than the left. And I'm just going straight down, creating almost like flat cliffs instead of little points. Just a different way to do it that I found. And we're varying up the colors just a little bit, so you do see sort of slopes coming down. A little bit of raw sienna just to lighten that side. And then we're going to get out our card, and we're going to have some real fun scraping here just shortly. Just get it to where you're happy with it. You've got some varying colors in your rock wall there. Then take your credit card cut in half, plastic card, and just follow the slope of the mountain down. Just create a sort of, I don't know, A shape. Don't scrape real hard, you'll scratch the paper. If there's enough paint on there, like you see it running down kind of, then you have enough paint on there to scrape. You want to scrape heavier paints. And you can do this a couple times. I'm dabbing a little here now because I'm going to have some trees and shrubbery type stuff at the bottom, so I don't want to have that too dark and I'm fighting that and ending up with mud. So now we're just going to take and we're going to shade back in some darker colors on the darker side of the mountain here. And those will blend in very nicely. If there's anywhere you want to re-scrape, you can always do that. I just lightened it up a little bit on my brush with some burnt umber, a little bit of water, and just kind of retouching these areas that I think need it. Now I'm using the corner of the card as opposed to the whole flat face, just to get some ridges there that are highlighted. Be convincing to be a mountain. You can paint these with different colors. I like scraping. I just think it's fun, and I'm about having fun when I paint, so I think it's fun doing a bunch of different little tools when you paint. Quick dry, I just did a quick dry, edited that out, but I dried it just so I don't interfere with what's already there. Now we're going to take and we're going to make a little bit of a greeny color with ultramarine. I think I'm using Joe's yellow from Cheap Joe's line of paints. And mixing that with a little bit of Payne's gray or neutral tint. I have both on my palette, depending on what I want to do. And just continuing in that, creating some areas here of grass, leaving some white spots at the bottom. So if If you leave some white spots in, you can't tell the difference really between the scraping and where you've left white spots. It kind of masks that whole effect, which is kind of neat, I think. Kind of make the ground sort of sloping down here. You can definitely see the Bob Ross influence. He was big on mountains. That's what inspired me many years ago to always want to paint until I finally got around to picking it up. But I decided on watercolor as opposed to oil. Just the ease of use. You can do it in most of the rooms of your house without getting yelled at. And I'm just going to create now the lower area, little peninsula part that's going to run along the stream. Just adding a little variance of colors there, some burnt umber. Just a little base where the land meets the water. And just do a quick scrape across, making just a few little rocks toward the bottom, and a little texture where the land is coming down, just so it looks like it has a little bit of a slope to it. A little bit of dry brush. You know what I think I'm going to do though? There's not enough color in the river there, so I'm going to give it a little spritz with the water bottle, and we're going to just kind of let things run a little bit. I think that might be the way to go. But first, I'm going to put in a tree on the left-hand side here. Nice foreground tree. And we'll take our rigger brush. I use a number 3. It's a good all-around brush. And just make a few little branches. There's some quick little branches coming out. And we'll come back in and put some leaves in at some point. This side here, I'm going to take the rigger and just do a small tree in the back. Not the hake this time, we'll just do a rigger tree. Probably should put the camera on the other side so my arm doesn't block your view. And you can see a little bit better. Just a few little squiggles of branches there gives it a little look. And then give it a quick scrape on the trunks that I like to do. You don't have to do this. You can dab it out, or you can use different colors. Again, I like to have fun. And just doing a little bit of grass here on the bottom. Except I did say that I wanted to spray that top area, so that's probably going to... I'm going to give it a quick spray with the spray bottle. You know, I came in there quick with some sleight of hand. It was so fast, if you blinked, you'd miss it. I'm going to take some different varying colors here, and I'm just going to put some heavier colors on. This looks kind of weird how I'm doing this, but... when I spray it with the spray bottle, those colors will actually run down into the water. Give it a reflective sort of a look. You can see how that runs down. I think it's exciting when that happens. I'm just going to blot a little bit of that excess up. You can always come back and we can fix that part up. No problem. It'll actually probably create more unique accidental textures than we had planned on, which is always a plus. So with a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of green and brown there from the ground, give it that spritz and it'll run down. And we'll give it a quick dry. Then we can come back in and we can do some anchoring of the trees. Just doing, while I'm drying, just doing some dabbing and touching up of certain areas. If you see little areas, if you can work multitask and have the hairdryer in one hand and the brush in the other, you can do some little things like that. Always safety first, though, with the hairdryer. Adding a little bit of yellow to the tops of these trees around the base of this mountain, just to get them to stand out a little bit more. That's the great thing about the yellows, is if you use them neat out of the tube, they can stand out. Ordinarily, you want to go from light to dark, but if you want to come back and highlight things, you can definitely do that. All right, I'm going to take some light red and some yellow here and make almost an orangey color. Make some orangey leaves on this tree over here. Now, that probably was enough in watching this back, but as everyone does, we tend to kind of want to overdo things. Step back, take a look, and I'm definitely going to overdo this tree. Putting in a little darker leaves on the tree now. They're probably too dark. Again, you can do this, take your time mixing. You know, I like to keep these videos under like 20 minutes. I don't like them to get too long, so tend to kind of rush it a little bit. It's funny how having a camera running next to you can create a little bit of pressure. Now on this side, I'm taking a little yellow, a little of that same color that's on the brush, and a little bit of blue, creating a more yellowy tree, just for some variation. Sometimes I'll take those same colors and I'll come down and do some grass, just for some unity between the trees and the grass. Mix in some of those same colors, as opposed to jumping to like a completely different color on the spectrum. Now I'm just going to redo that base down here at the bottom, where the water meets the land. And we've got a nice effect going down there. A few more little rocks. Just sort of dry brushing in some blades of grass, brown, green. And just taking the rigger brush and creating some little individual twigs and sticks. You can scrape a few in with a card also. Quick dry. Make sure everything's set the way we want it. It's going to extend that ground just a little bit there while I'm drying. And just a little dry brush on the bottom there. Just gives it a little hint of realism. It could be rocks, it could be a little wave, just create a little effect there. Now what I'm going to do in this grassy area is I'm going to put some heavy, neat paint. And then I'm going to take sort of my flat brush and I'm going to drag it upward and downward and create almost like little blades of grass by just taking the dry brush and sort of flicking it up. You can do this with the hake too. I just happen to have this brush in my hand. And a flat brush, the bristles are a little bit stiffer, so it could be easier to do. The hake, you have to be a little more careful. They're not going to spring back like they would a synthetic brush. I'm just putting in some heavier yellow here. And then taking the brush and flicking it upward, and you'll see how it creates a sort of a grassy effect. It's fun. That's the goal, is to have fun, relax, and enjoy what you're doing. Don't worry about how it turns out. It's the fun of the brush to the paper. If you stop learning, I don't know that it would be fun anymore. I mean, there's a certain challenge there that I think if it was absent, you knew exactly what you were going to do and it would turn out exactly how you wanted. I honestly don't think it would be fun anymore. I think the fun is in the challenge, and that's what keeps you coming back. Quick dry here, just to dry those colors. So I'm going to take a little light red with the flat brush and just to create a little warmth in a couple places and tie it in with that tree. Just hit it with some hints of light red. Light red, by the way, is a Cotman color that I use from the Cotman line. If you're having a hard time finding that, that's where that comes from. Winsor & Newton Cotman. So that's it. I think we did pretty good here, except for that tree's probably just a little too much. A little less is more, you know. Do a quick clip here and bring in the mount. Give it a sign. I hope you enjoyed this. By the way, I hit 400 subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you, your comments, your subscriptions, and it's much appreciated. Well, here it is with a white mount. I know my camera's a little low. Let's see what it looks like with a black mount. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. And everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time.